Hey, this is Alan Curtis Meisner, otherwise known as the Dragonmancer, and of course, as ever with me are my lovely assistants, the tortoise, the mouse, and the eagle. And it's kind of interesting how last couple days I've been watching some of the videos that are basically Halloween or horror and sci-fi related. And at the same time, sometimes it was on DVD. At the same time, I was able to just get done watching perhaps for maybe the 20th or, well, anywhere, somewhere around that neighborhood, maybe 16th time, Mermaid, the Body Found. And I must admit, the evidence that they present is very compelling, and perhaps one of the greatest attributes of it all is the fact that they don't necessarily really expect you to just outright believe what they are showing, which I find that is the most compelling thing of all. Because when you really think about it, if there are quite a few individuals that, like for instance, those who believe absolutely in Bigfoot, and then there are those who believe absolutely in UFO phenomena, and of course they have the right to their opinion. I always look at it this way, that when it comes to those who believe that there are that this is not the only planet that is inhabited by people, I am inclined to support that, because yeah, I do believe that wholeheartedly. And I am open to the possibility that maybe there is a Bigfoot type creature out there. But at the same time, I can't help but recognize this little reality, that when European explorers first came to Africa, they would hear countless tales of this ape-like creature that, of course, we know today as the mountain and lowland gorilla. And the fact is that initially Europeans dismissed this as a myth, just as people today dismiss the Sasquatch as a myth. But then one day a European missionary came home with a gorilla skull, and for the first time Europeans had definitive proof that yes, gorillas do exist. And the irony is that soon after, Europeans would find them, and they would hunt them relentlessly. And when you really think about it, if a definitive proof of Bigfoot were to be found, would the same fate that now gorillas have be the same fate that Bigfoot would end up having themselves? Would we end up pushing the Sasquatch to the brink of extinction if it turns out that if we were to find definitive proof of their existence? And when you really think about it, on Mermaids, the Body Found, it explores the possibility of what it would be like if mankind had in fact found mermaids. And there are some that are adamant that they do, but luckily they are adamant in a way that they don't really expect you to believe them. And that alone makes them very credible. Because when you really think about it, it is absolutely pointless to to try to push someone to believe if they don't have the desire. But if you leave it up to them to decide, that's great. At the same time, in the same way that I cannot help but wonder, would we end up pushing Sasquatch to extinction if definitive proof of their existence were to be found? Is it possible that we might, if definitive proof of mermaids were to be found, mermaids and mermen were to be found, what is the likelihood that we would end up pushing them to the brink of extinction too? So when you really think about it, I can't help it, because one of the things the individuals of NOAA, the Northern Oceanic and Atmospheric Association, pointed out is that everywhere they went, where they tried to find the mermaids and mermen, the federal government was not far behind. They would go in, they would confiscate the recordings. I can't help but, in this case, wonder if that is perhaps a good move on the part of the government, because when you really think about it, I think they might have had the same thing that's been on my mind, is that were it to be made public an existence of another life form that perhaps does not even want to be found. When you really think about it, what if it turns out that they just don't want to be found, these life forms just don't want to be found, and the federal government doesn't want their existence to be highly publicized? It may yet prove to be a good thing on their part, because of the fact that, like I said, as soon as definitive proof of the existence of the gorilla was found, it was not long after that they began to be pursued relentlessly, and now gorillas reside on the very edge of extinction. And so that's my story that I tell so far. As ever, thanks for watching, and have a nice night.